In the darkest night, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Surviving together, victorious, and never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey guys, how you doing? How is everyone? Welcome to Supporting Together, surviving together in our SAS community. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's see who's here. If I look sweaty and hot, it's because I am sweaty and hot. My air conditioner is broken, and I have to keep my windows closed for you guys so there isn't noise for the recording. So it might be a hot one. So let's see. Shannon, Crystal, welcome. Glad you guys are here. Mark, mayonnaise. I think that's it for now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Raise your hand if I did, but I don't think I did. How is everybody? Breezy, so good to see you. Crystal, how are you feeling about that? Were you able to see your therapist before this going back to work? Are you doing okay? I know it's been a kind of a source of tension for you, more than tension, right? Large thing of stress. So let's when do you go in before my live or after my live on Saturday? Saturday morning, right? Well, you have every right to be, but hopefully they've done enough to limit you guys' schedules and interactions and maybe we will see you on the live on Saturday, depending on your sleep schedule and how awake you are, but definitely keep us posted. Hugs and love for you, all right? We wish you the best, and all we can do is cross fingers. All right. Anybody else dying of heat? The thing is, it's not even that hot today. It's just that my upstairs is 20 degrees hotter than everywhere else. With the cross breeze, it wasn't so bad, but man, you sure notice it when when I have the doors shut. Yeah, I guarantee you, he is 1,000. Mock is right, Crystal. This guy is 1,000 times more insecure than you are, and probably 1,000,000 times lower in self-esteem than you are. That's always the case with bullies. They bully somebody else to make themselves feel better because they feel so bad about themselves. It's always the case. Even if it doesn't seem like it on the surface. I know that like when the kids are in middle school, right? It's a huge bullying, 7th, 8th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th, that type of thing. And the bullies or the mean girls or whatever, and it'd be like, no, no, there's nothing. They're confident. They're the popular girls. They're the this, they're the that. That's the bully's strongest guy in school or whatever. You have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. You have no idea what their home life is like. None. They could be the most miserable person on the planet, but they put up a good facade. So, Janet, so glad you're here. Good. I'm glad your doctor will be monitoring it with you, Crystal. That's really important. So, keep us posted. All right. Let us know. Who wasn't bullied in school? Really, raise your hand. If you are a trauma survivor and you weren't bullied in school, I'd love to figure out how that went, because it doesn't matter if you put on a confident face, if you were tried to stay out of the way and were just trying to be tucked in a corner and be left alone. It's like it didn't seem like it would matter. I was going to get picked on regardless. I was always a new kid, even after 2 or 3 years, you're still like the newer kid. And when you move every 3 years, it's just kind of, you're always the new kid. So always something, right? Well, guys, we have an enormous show today. And I don't know if we'll get through it all. And if we don't, we'll just roll on over into Saturday. If we do get through it all, then I'm not so sure what we will do. Janet, that's funny because I was bullied because it was the opposite. I was an early grower, and in my chest, it didn't go very far. It just started early, so and woohoo! Wouldn't they be surprised now for you? All right, so what I wanted to do today was, we've been talking a ton about trauma and the body, how we as trauma survivors get stuck with our sympathetic nervous system on, meaning we're just on alert, like on yellow alert all the time. It's not red alert until like your body senses like danger, danger, and it's anxieties, they're going to start to go through the roof, but it's watching out all the time, right? And the only way to bring us back into balance is to activate our parasympathetic nervous system. And any of these techniques that we go over, they're only going to be as effective as you use them consistently. I mean, you may find that you use something for a few times and it's not really clicking with you, and go ahead, use something else. Use multiples of these, of course. I mean, use whatever works for you in whatever situation you find that it works for you. But the key is you need to consistently be doing them. Whether it's one thing, whether it's multiples, you need to consistently be doing something to activate that vagus nerve, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, calm yourself down, okay? You are calming yourself down by calming your nervous system. So all of that, when people go, just calm down, it's like, brain, think, calm down. It doesn't work that way. Sympathetic nervous system's like, screw you, I've got control, right? And you've got to do something else to bring yourself down. And I've got a couple of things that I will bring up, and they may be new to you. A lot of these are things we've talked about in the past, but I'm just bringing them up again so we can kind of just have a holistic view of everything. And I'm sure that there's others out there that I've missed. There may be some unique things. So if there's anything that you guys have found that works for you and I'm not going over, please list it. Shannon, I'm right there with you. I was bullied for being smart. Definitely true. Definitely one of my things. Okay, so before we start, the videos that I am going to be referencing in the show and the book that I'm going to mention are all in the description below. Okay, so they're all linked there for you. So you just have to go there and you can find them as to what I was relying on, what was here. The book that I think might be helpful for some of you, if talk therapy has never worked for you or has done very little for you, trying somatic based therapies, which are body, soma is body, somatic based therapies might be better for you. Some just because it's hard to process in words, that you don't work that way. It doesn't seem, and it doesn't calm you down as much to talk something out. For some people, it's really triggering to have to go over it, and it's like you're re-victimized all over again. And some people have a very huge issue with it. For some people, it's the only thing that works, and that's great, because cognitive behavioral therapy, talk therapy, is one of the things that's on the list. And if it works for you, wonderful. But it doesn't work for a whole bunch of people. And so this woman named Ilene Smith wrote a book called Moving Beyond Trauma. And it's literally talking about moving. It's talking about the body-based therapies that you can use to help heal your trauma. And we're going to go over a lot of these. EMDR is one of various types of healing techniques that you can use. It's not so much a body-based, because you're not really moving your body so much. So kind of consider that a non-body based, but there are tons of non-body based things. And it's not always appropriate, just to, when you're feeling anxious, just to kind of, break out and dance. Middle of your office, I don't know, the restaurant, you may feel a tad bit self-conscious. So you kind of need some other ways of doing the same thing in a manner that might be more appropriate for your setting. Don't get me wrong, I'd burst out into dance in my office in a heartbeat. I really could care less what anybody thinks. First off, because my office is in my home. But even when I worked in an office, they could be just like, she's going crazy, and I just would be out and about. Woo! I'd love some lightning and thunder. They said we might get some rain today, but I don't think so. We just have the humidity. And if the rain came in tonight, I would absolutely, absolutely love it. That would be so, so nice. So I highly recommend Ilene Smith's book. It's, a pretty easy read. It's not a real thick book and paperback. Yeah, Shannon, when those cracks of lightning seem like they've cracked a tree in half, that's when I get a little nervous. That's the storm's getting maybe a wee bit too close to my house. So let's talk about some of the soma-based techniques. First off, why do they work so well? Well, because when our bodies feel safe, we feel safe. Our brain feels safe. So when we're able to calm our nervous system, our body's feeling much better. And the brain goes, oh, this is nice. We can go back to green for a while. We don't have to be on yellow alert. Yay. And it can relax. So the body's safe, the mind knows that it's safe. And these are two things that are really key when we're talking about when you're actively working through your trauma, whether that's through whether it's through your own journaling, whether it's through, talk therapy, whatever it is. But as you're actively working through those things, there may be some issues or an issue or an event, a piece of the overall event. Like, let's say, you were essayed throughout your childhood. So we'll just put that essay as the overarching, right, event, traumatic event. And then there's all the, let's call them incidences along the way, right? And maybe there was a few of them you've forgotten about because obviously, boo, so many of them. But maybe there was one thing that really, once you remember it, explains why you absolutely hate feather boas. Just go with me now, okay? Until your brain feels safe, it's not going to let those out. Your brain is protecting you, has been protecting you from all of this pain and all these memories. And it's not going to let those memories go and let you actively deal with them until it feels safe. And it's not going to feel safe until your body feels safe. So it may not feel that way to you if you ever said, gosh, well, these memories just kind of came out of nowhere and I wasn't really feeling any different. Well, your body thinks it did. And that's all you have to go by. So it's really important for being able to work through all your trauma that you can employ these techniques and really get good at being able to calm your sympathetic or your parasympathetic nervous system on a drop, on a dime. So some of the things that you can do that are body based, I spoke about this before, more mentioned it, is the trauma informed yoga. And I have yet to try this yet, but I'm really excited to pull somebody up and see what difference there is. I know that they're focusing with this a lot on your breath and the movement and connecting yourself with your body, and how that's really different from regular yoga, I'm not 100% sure. But just like a therapist is good, a trauma-informed therapist is even better, right? So I'm definitely excited to try that. And if anybody tries it before I do, please let me know how you liked it. Hey, Sandy, how you doing? I got to open this door. It closed, and I have absolutely no breeze. Hang on. All right, back in my chair. So what are some other things that you can do body-based? Tai Chi, which if you don't know what that is, it's a form of martial arts, but you may have seen this either in movies or, it's the picture of the park with all these 70 plus people doing a form, doing a kata, and they're moving, and the movements are very slow and very measured, and it's one form, but it can take forever to get just right. And all of the movements that are in that form are utilized in fighting, but it's not what its main purpose is nowadays. And to find instructors who actually, are versed in fighting with it is amazing. I had one in college, and he was just absolutely incredible. So it was so easy for him to be like, we're like, what are we doing here? We're hands over a barrel. What are we talking about? And to see him then put it into movement, into fighting movement, wow, it really blew me, because I had taken Taekwondo for ages, right? And I'm in Tai Chi now. And I'm thinking in my head, how in God's green earth is this going to go? But yes, they're very slow, very fluid movements. There's nothing that, no crazy bending or twisting, that as long as you're a moderately mobile person, you'd be able to do just fine. Hey, Ben, how you doing? Next on my list is dance therapy. So, of course, we talked about this. And honest is, we call it dance, whether or not you go to an official dance studio because you have a type of dance that you like to do, whether you're dancing around your kitchen like nobody can see you, or whether you're just like, shaking your head and moving your arms and basically looking like a crazy person. Even that is going to shock your nervous system and your vagus nerve into going, woo, hey, we're moving, this is good, waha. So it's any form of exercise, anything that you're doing that's moving your body, particularly in big movements. So that's why walking and hiking and obviously running, swimming, anything where you're definitely using your body, um, your whole body, or at least most of your body, is going to be effective in kicking in your parasympathetic nervous system. Oh, Shannon, you've just given me an awesome idea. I think we need to have a dance badly dance off. Yeah. I don't know who would win between us. Oh, that's so funny. I was just watching a thing the other day about like how my parents danced during the 80s. Do you remember just standing in a circle and basically kicking your foot forward? And this was dancing in 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. This is what I remember in our gym. Really funny. Um, Additionally to these, and I hadn't thought about this so much, and I put some of these together because they're they're all engaging the same thing. Well, Mark, it might be the bad dancing might be in bad taste, but it would be all in good fun, and you guys would be able to do the judging, right? You guys would have to get on up at silent discos. Okay, you got me on that one. Is it like, I can't make that joke. So we definitely have people to share on the screen, and it'd be awesome to have like 6 of us up here, whatever, and we'll just all put on the same song and dance our hearts out. Um, Absolutely. Well, yeah, whether you wear headphones, whether you blast it in your room, it doesn't matter. Um, I'd have to wear earbuds because of you guys, but let's shake off thing. Silent. Okay, somebody explain to me what silent disco is. I am so at a loss. I'm trying to imagine, but all I can think of is just this very quiet room with a disco ball going around and everybody standing lined up against the wall. I'm sure that's not what they meant, but oh, okay. Ah, okay, so silent discos are when everybody's listening to their own music. All right, or everyone's listening to the same music but in their own earphones, in their own earbuds. I'm following now. Gotcha. We used to have movie nights with some of my friends when we were, spread out through the country, and we would just all put the same movie on, and then we would get on here and basically looking at each other, laughing like idiots at something we were watching, at each of them that was each that we were watching. So one of the other, um, I'm only 10 years ahead of you, behind you. 10 years later, I graduated than you, Janet. Let's put it that way. So, rocking, if it's soothing to you, go for it. It may be very soothing to some people. For some people, it could be triggering, depending on what your circumstances were, right? And that's why, please, everybody take each of these with a grain of salt. If you go, oh my God, that's never going to work for me, that's fine. There are so many things out there that can, help you calm your nervous system, that don't feel like you have to use something if you're uncomfortable with it. 100%. Please don't. I put this in body based because it is kind of moving a part of the body. I was looking at it with rocking, but anything with your singing, humming, chanting, gargling, actually, because you're actually, engaging the chords down here. I don't imagine there's a lot of you out there that want to gargle for a long period of time, but if it's your thing, rock yourself out. Shannon, I'm glad rocking worked for you. I'm glad it worked for you. I think it's something like, for me, it wouldn't be very calming, mainly because that was, hugs, and when I was little, rocking, that was the only form of comfort there was. But that was the only form of, there was no advice that went along with it. There was no trying to solve the problem. There was none of that. It was a hug and, okay, now you're good, go, or it was a hug and a rock and, now you're good, go. So for me, in my situation, I can't see that being very effective. But for you, if it brings you comfort, and these are types of things where, guys, we talked before with like nightmares. If you're prone to nightmares or just sleeping badly, not being able to get into deep sleep, if sleeping like with a stuffed animal works for you, I don't care how old you are. Grab your stuffy and go to bed, or you've got a favorite blanket, a quilt that grandma knitted, and you want that on the bed. Whatever works for you. Absolutely, whatever works for you. Bye, Ben. Take care. We will definitely talk to you later. Um, one with gargling, two, it increases your salivation, and that's why chewing gum works as well. For me, I can't chew gum for a real long time, so it's kind of a short. It wouldn't last for me. But if you're one of these people who love to chew gum and can just chew it all afternoon or whatever, that can be something that's an easy way to calm yourself a little bit in any type of situation, right? Except a job interview. That's usually they don't like it when you're chewing gum. Oh, hey, look at that. I brought my full screen and my chat went away. Okay, there we go. Back again. One of the things that I came upon, and I had never seen this before, maybe some of you guys have. I'm going to show you a little bit. It goes pretty slowly, so I'm not going to have a lot. I'm not going to show a huge portion of it, but I'll talk you through some of what's going on. And it's called trauma release exercise, or TRE for short. Everyone loves their acronyms, right? It was created by a guy named Dr. David Berselli, and he is out of the Trauma Wellness Center, and I don't know where that is located. But here is a little bit of video, and I'll pull that up. And basically, what this type, it's going to look weird. I just tell you that right off the bat. What this is about, it's doing these very specific, controlled exercises. So when you say exercises, you're more like holding a position to allow deep muscular tension to release. And this is just one of the different types of exercises that are a part of it, but it's something that this gentleman went through because he was a sports guy. And I think he had a literal trauma, like, to his body. And so his back was very tight. His hips were pretty locked up. And so this is what they had him do. And I am going to leave the volume on because he was going to talk about it. So what you will see is this gentleman has his feet together and he is lifting his pelvis up off the floor. His knees are apart, and the doctor's going to instruct him on what to do next. And let's see if I can actually get this right.
You can see your body's bouncing. So that means that the normal holding pattern that you use is starting to break up a little bit because this is an unusual position.
So if you can't tell, the guy's knees are bouncing. And this is part of it. You're going to bounce and you're going to pulsate. And it's really interesting because if you watch this video, you will see his knees start kind of vibrating and bouncing at not in sync. And I guess that is your body's way. It's breaking up all the tension. And when the tension is broken up, then you will pulse in sync with each other. And so he's having him bring his knees closer together by, like, inch by inch by inch. And each time holding that position until his knees are pulsing in sync again. So you'll see what that looks like.
Breaking up a little bit, which is what we need to help facilitate the tremor mechanism moving more easily through your body. And there's the rocking back and forth. Now, when you tremor, do you get tremors up to your shoulders or your neck or just your pelvis? Where does it go?
So usually it's in the pelvis area. Sometimes I feel the
Okay, you can't really hear him too well from there, but it it was really, really interesting. And, it's something that I would be more interested to see, some of them, definitely some endurance there. And obviously, this guy, he's into jujitsu, and I'm not sure what sport he plays, but he plays sport at a high level. So they've obviously, the doctor knows what he can handle and is giving him, something that's much more difficult than something he would give to our, I think, the average person who would be, walking into his studio. So I'm sure if you were to search for trauma release exercises, that there'll be more stuff out there. And the goal with this is that vibrating and that shaking is releasing the muscle tension deep, deep within you. And that is calming the nervous system. And the whole idea is to bring your body back into balance. And by the end of the session, this guy is moving his knees together from one side of his body to the other. He has full movement of his hips. His back has loosened up, and he can rotate his back and his spine. So it to me, it was just really fascinating as to just a different type of modality that's, out there for treating, breaking up. See, I guess I like this because I like the vision of it. I think about that trauma living inside me. And I guess for me, if I feel it, it's my piriformis. It's that muscle that's deep in the heart of your gluteus maximus, right? It's the one right down in the center. It's so hard to get to by just, trying to rub, or, you really got to get an elbow in there. And so for me, I have this vision of, that's where my trauma's sitting, and it's going nanner, nanner, nanner at me. I have no idea why, but, you know, it's sitting there. And if something like this could like break it up, now how often would you have to do it? I don't know. Every time it locks up, would it stop locking up after a while? I mean, it's just so much information, just so many factors that can go into it. And Crystal, this is just one of many different types of positions um, that you can be in. I don't know the full, range of them. So I don't know if there would be some things that would be, working for you or not. Obviously, a lot of it depends on where you want to get rid of the tension. Is it in your neck and your shoulders areas? Is it your arms, um, you know, your legs, whatever, it is. But this is something I'd never heard of before. And so I thought I would bring it to you guys and show you that very unique video of the guy shaking. But it is kind of weird. He's shaking and vibrating. And normally when you do that, right, you're like, oh my God, I can't hold on. I can't hold on. I can't hold on. But he can hold on. And all of a sudden his everything, it just starts pulsing in sync. There's no more shaking. There's no more vibrating. It's just like pulsing. And it's the weirdest thing. And what he is saying is we have to wait for our bodies. We can't push it with our minds. We can't push it to do something, to relax that muscle, right? Relax muscle. There's nothing we're going to do that's going to push it farther or quicker than the body will do it itself. So it's doing it on the body's own time, which I thought it was an interesting way of looking at things. Okay, so now moving on to all of the different, they're not really non-somatic in that, some of them do have to do, with the actual body. So I guess it depends on kind of how you want to categorize some of these. Acupuncture is one. you're not moving yourself. So that's why I didn't include it in the movement techniques, right? But acupuncture can be something. Shannon, yeah, I have heard of it. I've never experienced it. Myofascial release. Um, it Peter Levine, yeah, Peter Levine is the one who wrote the book Healing Trauma that I recommended last time. Same author. So if you have not read Healing Trauma, Crystal, by him, I think you would really like that. So there's acupuncture. Then I'm just going to kind of go down our list of some of our things: art therapy, music therapy, ecotherapy, which is basically get yourself into nature, right? Go enjoy whatever it is about nature that you like, whether it's sitting and watching, the people at the park, or it's hiking in the woods, or it's bird watching, just getting out and enjoying good old Mother Nature. Also, it can be very calming for some people if you take your socks and shoes off and can feel with your toes, either the grass or the dirt, or just really getting into contact with the ground. Grounding skills are another another way of bringing your parasympathetic nervous system online. And this can be used in two different ways. There's grounding skills, meaning like literally getting yourself to the ground, getting your feet connected with Mother Earth. Tree hugging, for that matter. Just really connecting with nature, with the earth, and letting your negative energy just flow through you and flow back into the earth and disperse out that way. Then there's also grounding skills about just keeping you grounded in terms of not letting your anxiety, get carried away and just, go off. So there's things of that nature. And those are more individualized in terms of what, what sets you off in different situations. I talked about the chewing gum. Narrative therapy, I'm going to put any type of, narrative therapy can be talking, storytelling. And, journaling can be a part of this because that's written, right? But also if you're doing like a video blog for yourself, video journal, that can be a form of narrative therapy, because especially when you can see yourself. Yeah, Janet has been working on some different things to present in regards to different writing styles, different ways of writing, and different ways of communicating a story. So definitely look for that on Carry On when she announces what she's got going on there. So very good. Oh. Janet, can I make the announcement? I won't unless you tell me it's okay, but can I announce it? I'm waiting. You had the myofascial release, Janet, with the trigger point therapy. That's wonderful that really worked for you. Yeah, I think acupuncture and acupressure, I'm glad to see that they've gained ground in Western medicine, that they found a home, that their Western medicine is realizing that these things are important because there is this mind-body connection. and one's not affected without the other being affected. About what today is, silly. I got all excited for you. About what today is. About what? Announce what? I'll take that as a no then. Your pediatrician did acupuncture. Wow. Well, I know my chiropractor works on like kids as young as a year, which is really strange. I mean, he's not like going cracking their back. So there you go. Today is Janet's 3-year sober anniversary. So let's throw some ones up for her, some congrats, some, awesome job. 3 and counting. You're counting in years. And that is so fabulous. I told her I'd have a drink to celebrate for her. Okay, so back to some of our other things. So EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, that's what it stands for. It's a way of going through therapy where they will have you process and talk about, your traumatic events as you're doing particular eye movements, particularly like left and right. And it, oh, you are so lucky, Mark. Acupuncture is covered by insurance. I have known some insurances actually to cover acupuncture and or acupressure, but you're kind of got your gold standard of your basic everyday or your state insurance. No way is going to cover it. EMDR. So some people find it has been very, very effective with trauma survivors. Other people have had really difficulty with it. I have no idea if this would be something that would work for me or not. I'm curious about it, but again, I have not historically done well with talk therapy. So I don't know if this being slightly different with its focus being partly body-based and, it's part talk therapy, parts, body soma. I'm not sure if it would work. If anybody's tried it, let me know. Or if you do try it, please, come back to the channel and let us know how it goes, because I'm real interested to learn how it is for any trauma survivors that I actually, that I know, instead of them just saying, yeah, it works a lot. Shannon, you found that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, depending on the practitioner. I'm not sure if you're talking about acupuncture or EMDR, but I would imagine with either that it would be the case. I mean, the better you are at it, the better it's going to, more effective it's going to be. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just dying up here. Hooey. So, and I have had acupuncture where I've gone, I got done with the session and been like, how do you feel? And I'm like, really no different than I walked in. Thank you very much. Then there was a gentleman who, I'm not sure how long he had been in the United States, but not very long. And he was from China, and he practiced acupuncture and acupressure in China. That was his trade, so to speak. That's what he had done over there for a living. And he did my low back, and of course, every other area that seems to have been. I went home and I slept, I think, as deep as I've ever slept in my life for 15 hours straight. I mean, my husband was even like poking me, going, "Are you okay?" I mean, nothing, nothing. It was like you'd have to try and wake the dead. It was, I literally, I got up and I was a new person. If I could have followed that person, I have no idea, obviously this 20 years ago, but that guy knew what he was doing. I would go to him if I could have afforded to keep going to him. My insurance didn't cover it, and it was $75 a pop. And this is talking 20 years ago, and I just couldn't do it. But it was, whew, that was really, really, really great. Yeah, it, like I was just saying, it can make you extremely tired. And I have no doubt, I didn't know it at the time, but I have no doubt that along with the physical release, the tension release, being a trauma survivor, the emotional release that it was probably giving as well, and letting our sympathetic nervous system take a break. And when it got the message that it could go offline for a while, I think it just took a hike to Alaska, seriously, because the parasympathetic said, "I got this. She's going to be out for a while." And I just was doomed. So I definitely, if you are with somebody, whether it's an acupressure or acupuncture, I would encourage you to have somebody with you, because you never know how you're going to react too. Some people just with massages just break out in tears, just because there's a real emotional release when you're releasing all that tension from, certain areas of your body. I think if my neck and shoulders ever got totally relaxed and loose, I'd probably burst into tears of happiness. Just because I can't remember the last time, they were like that. But um, Shannon didn't get results for EMDR. Okay, yeah. But you're talking about acupuncture. Yeah. As with anybody, need the right practitioner. And sometimes that can be frustrating, to go around and trying to find an acupressure or an acupuncturist who actually knows what they're doing. Especially when your insurance isn't covering it. And so you're laying out that money each time and going, didn't get results, didn't get results. I know this does work. I just got to find the right person. So I think doing your research ahead of time and trying to talk to people or network with people who have ever used the person, whether it's online, through the doctor's office, um, or through the office of whoever the practitioner is, and really doing your research, and if it's not going to be covered by your insurance. What are some of these other things? Laughter. Laughter is the best medicine. It really is true. um, Laughter keeps the blues at bay. When you laugh, it's kind of hard to feel sad at the exact same time. Even if you're still sad in the back of your mind, the front of you is just, for a minute, even if you're crying, you'd be crying, laughing, right? But you're still laughing. And that's a little bit of joy. So the more you can laugh, the better you're going to be. Even if it's just watching like stand-up videos, guys. We'll see you later, Shanna. So glad you were here. Um, it does suck when you age out of a doctor and you really like them. Yeah, I can imagine your pediatrician just want to stay with them forever. They're like, no, you're too big now. Go, 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 go. I will sometimes I will. I've got my favorites, and I often find new people this way where I know I need a break. I need a break from what's going on around me. I need a break from thinking about things. I don't want to just mindlessly stare at YouTube watching, nothing. Want to do something good for my body, and I don't feel like exercising or something. So watching stand up is a good substitute. At least for me it is. So Josh Johnson is one of my favorites. Um, he's a let's say he's a newer comedian. He's a newer comedian. I think he's been doing the comedy circuit for like 7 years or so, but he's really become popular in the last couple of years since he's been putting his sets up on YouTube. They've been getting noticed, and his tour has been selling out like there's no tomorrow. But I think he's hilarious. Some people find a lot of comfort in group therapy, knowing that they're not alone, knowing that they are going through the same things, being able to talk to people face to face about the same things. It's part of the reason this works, because connection, human connection, whether it's through something of this nature or whether it's an in-person human connection, getting a hug, always a wonderful way to kind of calm yourself down, have your nervous system calm down. For me, anyway, I know that is laughter and a hug are just amazing for me. Golden Girls makes you laugh, Crystal. There you go. Whatever works. Whatever works. Some relaxation techniques that I never find work very well for me, but I know some people who absolutely love them, and they start at the top of their head and they go right down to the bottom of their toes. And it's the action of tightening up your muscles, right? And holding them for a period of time, and then releasing and softening your muscles up. And it does relax them more for some people than I think for others. I just tend to get sore muscles. It doesn't seem to work very well for me, but something you can try, if you've never tried it before. Ba-dum-bum-bum. I do want to mention with art therapy, music therapy, animal therapy. That's, one that's on here too. Whether it's just petting your cat, or whether it's going out and helping at a horse farm, or a farm in general. Partly I think it's because you're with the bigger animals anyway, you're partly in nature. And so you're getting that aspect of it, and you're out and you're doing something. But pets, if it's a pet of yours, pets have this automatic calming effect on us. Whether it's your dog or your cat, it just, ever been crying, and your dog came up to you and was kind of whimpering. It's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? So utilize your animals that you may have. And I want to talk just about art and music therapy for a minute, because some people think, think art, you think, okay, well, I got to paint. Not necessarily. I got to draw. No, not necessarily. You could make mosaics, which is basically taking a bunch of broken pieces of stuff and putting it in mortar in whatever kind of way you want. Doesn't have to make anything. It could just be pretty colors for all it matters. Misha, so glad you're here. Isn't that wonderful? We are so, 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 so proud of her. 3 years. That's just absolutely amazing. And I say this because art to me, I'm horrible. Drawing, painting, that sort of thing. Try and make something look realistic. No, I'd be a great Picasso. I just, I, I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, and it's true. But I do enjoy certain art things. Mosaic making is one of them. For some strange home improvement, I think woodworking, wood refinishing for me is a very calming exercise. And I put it into the art category because I'm having to use skills to make something look a certain way. I don't know. To me, that's my art. When you get done, it's just, it looks pretty. Um, Matrix Rabbit makes resin molds. He's going to be doing candles, wax candles. He did some UV resin. I'd never heard of this stuff, but yeah, it gets activated by the light and it changes colors or something like that. Very strange. Mock, you play with droppable watercolors and soakable paper. Oh, you are doing it right now. Fabulous. Fabulous. Anything that just makes you feel good. There's clay modeling. It doesn't even have to end up in anything. It I'm looking at a little guy. It's just a head. It's like a totem head my son made. And it's not very attractive, uh, but it wasn't made to be. But I just love them. And I can do things in modeling clay. They don't look like anything you'd see in real life, but they don't have to be. Um, they also have the coloring books, adult coloring books, nowadays, where, color away. But before they even had those out, when I was in the early 90s, when I was in college, I actually had a pack of crayons and a coloring book on my shelf in my dorm room. And people looked at me like I was nuts. And I'm like, hey, it's calming. If I'm stressed out about an exam I got or, whatever, take a pack of crayons and just start coloring. And before I knew it, I was losing pages to people as, everybody wanted to start coloring because they realized, oh, this really is kind of, soothing. So think out of the box a little bit, when you're thinking art or when you're thinking music. Music, it can be making music, whether that's with instruments, whether it's, music therapy, we can talk, the singing aspect can be part of this, or just listening to music. Songwriting, whether are you writing lyrics that you think might sound good for a song. Basically, writing poems. Doesn't have to be. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I wanted to go over with those. I just didn't want, because I tend to, especially when it comes to art, I tend to fall into the, oh, I would never, art's not my thing. And it's like, well, Janice has so much art here. Knit, woodworking, piano, making jewelry. You want to start painting? That's fabulous. I'd love to get together and work on a wood piece with you. That would be great. Absolutely. That would be great. Crystal, you like coloring? I do too. So does my mother. Oh, and she's good. She never went to art school or anything. And she is where my brother got all his talent from. And he's an incredible artist. And my mom doesn't just color, she shades. And I was looking through a book and it was like the pictures jumping off the page, almost looking like 3D-ish, because she has just, the way she's colored him, it's impressive, very impressive. Mock, you've made your own jewelry and clothes. Yeah, I never did learn to sew, and I'm not much on the fashion end of things for putting patterns together or anything like that. So definitely wouldn't be my thing. Um, but I know a lot of people say the jewelry making is very, very soothing for them, especially if you're okay utilizing the smaller tools. It's frustrating for some people. I guess it depends on how small things you're making. I did make an awesome 4 square with Webelow plastic string, whatever that twine was. Oh my goodness. What are some of our other things? So I have one thing that I want to go over with you. Okay, here's my big page with you. One in terms of talk therapy that I wanted to speak about is self-talk. And this is where literally you are talking to yourself, whether it's in your head or whether it's out loud. But this is when you go out. Let's say you're normally not comfortable out, but you know you're safe. You know that there's nothing, that's waiting around the corner to harm you. Nothing that we can anticipate. And you are prepared. If you're going for a walk, you're in an area that, maybe there's other people around that could have cost you. You've got your pepper spray, or whatever it is. Or you're walking in an area where it's very sparse. There aren't a lot of people around, so there's, not an opportunity to be attacked or whatever. You feel relatively safe. Logically, you feel relatively safe. Your body's still doing that yellow alert. Okay, we're out. Right, scanning. Treat your brain like it's your best friend. Thank it for protecting you for so many years. Thank it for wanting to look after you. But let it know that in this particular circumstance, the danger, there is no danger. What they are perceiving as danger is not actual reality. And I know it sounds weird, but you can actually start to retrain your brain this way by talking to yourself. Normally, we think differently of people who are talking to yourself. But it's all about, and I think that this can work particularly well because during the day, I don't know you guys, but I tend to I'm doing stuff, and if I'm taking a break, I'm not really paying attention to myself. I'm taking a break and I may be, texting, or I may be watching some YouTube, or, my focus is still outside of me. And we really need to take breaks within the day and just kind of do a body scan. And this is a physical and emotional body scan. And just say, okay, physically, what am I feeling right now? Do I have any sore spots? Do I need to make sure that I'm getting up and walking more? Have I been sitting in the same position too long? So I know my knees are aching. I got to remember not to do that. Am I feeling tingly? Am I feeling any particular sensation? That sensory sensation that you might have to deal with, and figure out where that's coming from. Emotionally, what are you feeling? Is your anxiety up there? Are you feeling sad? just doing a check-in with yourself. And this helps with your mindfulness, being present in your life every day. And as you're doing this as well, for any of you who have trouble falling asleep, if you have any sort of sleep issues, getting to sleep at the end of the day, shutting your brain down, quieting at night, doing these check-ins with ourselves can go a long way to having less on our minds at the end of the day. And if we have a good nighttime routine and we've got all those tools in our toolbox for our night routine, then it just will become that much more easy to hopefully to bring you down then at the end of the evening. Bye, Janet. I know I'm late to that party, but bye. So I really just talked about mindfulness anyway. Where is my thing? I thought this one was interesting. So cognitive therapy. Okay, breath work. We've talked a lot about breath work in the past. I think most of us know or have, done at least some breath work. Just to go over, a few basics. Getting set up real tall for this. So your diaphragm is right below your solar plex. Breathing deeply from there. Instead of not just filling your chest up, you want to fill your entire lungs up. You want to basically feel like you're filling your belly up as well. So you want to fill your entire front up with oxygen. Okay. And so it's breathing from your diaphragm and you're really pulling that all in and then breathing it all out and then breathe it out more. At least for me, I have always found that very effective in calming down when I am not just breathing out, but breathing out and then some. You almost might get a yawn at the end. But when I first start these breathing exercises and I need to calm down, that for me, that's I find most effective. There's different numbers. This particular example is giving 4, 7, 8. You inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and exhale for 8 seconds. So this is an example of what I was talking about, of exhaling longer than you're inhaling. There are different numbers, and some of it's going to depend on where your capability is. Some people can breathe in for longer than others. And so you'll have to adjust that to what works for you. Box breathing, it's just using the same number. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Whatever your number is, it's just making a nice even box. You can do it for longer than that. There's the nose breathing that we talked about. In and out of your nose. Because your mouth open is something that would be if you were in distress, right? Even if you're just breathing out heavy to breathe everything out. To me, the nose breathing works better. So even if I'm doing box breathing or one of these other, number breathings where I'm breathing in and I'm exhaling longer out than I'm breathing in, I do it through my nose. And that's, for me, is what works best. There's also, admit I tried this, maybe I got to try it more, but it's the alternating nostril. You breathe through one and then you breathe through the other. It's supposed to promote relaxation, balance your body's energies. I think part of it is going to depend on whether you can get air in both your nostrils, a certain time of year. Definitely if you're stuffy, it's not going to work for you at that point in time. But it's just a totally different way of breathing. So I wanted to pick some ones that were different enough that I'm sure that we've all heard of them, but sorry, I'm reading as I'm talking. But we're different enough from each other that would give you options without, doing the same thing. Mock says breath work is connected to music. You can't blow a horn or hold a tune without diaphragm breathing. You are absolutely right. And if you've ever taken singing lessons, they will tell you breathe from your diaphragm, because you need to be able to take those deep breaths. And that's also where being able to hit your chest notes and increase your range that you can sing in your chest without making that switch to the head sound is all from diaphragm breathing. And if you've ever been a runner, you've got to run. You've got to breathe from your diaphragm when you're running. You pass out if you're doing chest breathing too much. Just not be a good situation. So we talked about mindfulness, and it's more than just the checking in with ourselves, but any meditation that you're doing is a way of practicing mindfulness. Just trying to quiet your mind and just be. Just let thoughts come and go, Try and have no thoughts, but if thoughts pop up, just go, oh, yeah, look at there it goes. Some people like guided meditations. It's easier for them. Some people like just simple quiet 100%. Some people like calm music. I like absolute quiet in absolute darkness. I know that sounds really weird, but for me, any outside senses, it's more difficult for me to calm my mind. I was with a friend recently, and it struck me that I only had two competing thoughts. And I went, wow, that's about as close to total mindfulness as I've ever gotten. It was just like, I was trying to focus on this one thing, and this other thought kind of kept coming through, and then I kept shoving it off to the side, trying to focus on this one thing. But I was like, hey, it's only one thing that's going, So for me, that was kind of a unique experience. But you crave quiet too. Too many distractions drives you nuts. Yeah, I definitely, and I think for me the light issue, comes because I have migraines too. But being able to shut that light off as well, it's just one more area that I could potentially be distracted by. I really can totally focus inwards because there's absolutely nothing going on outside of me. There's no noise, there's no light. I'm just sitting. And I think it's easier to get in tune with myself and to really take stock of where I am without it being superficial if I'm in that kind of environment. So, but everybody has to find what works for you. Yeah, we talked about grounding a little earlier, Misha. I have not done a whole heck of a lot of it, but just because I don't tend to get out too much. I know I got yelled at today by my friend. I went and got the mail. It's up the street. I told him that counted. And I was outside on my patio. I wasn't inside. See, I left the house. Um, so yeah, I do like grounding as well. But also I do like being out in nature. You know, if I can truly get out and just take a nice slow walk, but not where there's cars and everything. So, you know, it's kind of got to drive to somewhere to have that sort of experience where I am. And I don't do a lot of hiking because I get lost very easily. Um, my friend said he's getting me an Apple tag to put on me. So they can always find me in the woods, which I thought was a pretty good idea because I definitely, I definitely get way lost. I mean, seriously, guys, it could be like a quarter square mile and I would get myself lost. It's just, Mark, you got out and got a manicure and interacted with human beings. That's awesome. That's fabulous. And we can say that because we get it. Some days that's just a feat. And you got to celebrate it. You know, if you don't have anybody there who's going to celebrate it, contact one of us because we certainly will celebrate it with you because I get it 100%. We, you know, isolating is just one of the hallmarks of PTSD and, of course, for CPTSD. Most of us who have been through any significant trauma have at least PTSD. You got lost before looking for your dad's golf course? Okay. That's lost for quite a long time, though, isn't it? 7 hours. That's impressive. I think after I got lost for the first time, which was, you know, I was probably lost for 5 minutes, but I just never veered very far. If I couldn't see the trail, I was not going any further. I just can get in a mode and just kind of like when I was diving and I was following this queen angelfish, which if you've never seen them, pull up a picture of one. They're absolutely gorgeous. But I was following one and I had no idea. I totally was like, I lost sight of it finally. And I went, oh, okay. Well, probably about time I should be getting back up. And I looked and I was at 120 feet. And it was like, oopsie. That's like, you know, the limit for recreational divers. I should not go any farther below that without having to do significant stops along the way to avoid the bends. As it was, I was just fine. You have a dragon on your ear. Well, that's cool. Is it a tattoo or a piece of jewelry, Mark? That's awesome. Yeah, I still got this. I'm still sporting it. It's actually kind of rubbing off because it's shellac, you know, so it's not chipping, but it's just kind of rubbing off in layers. It's looking a little thin in places. You go big, you go big. Nice, nice. Wow, guys, we're actually going to make it through everything. I think it's part of it is because we've discussed a lot of this before, but I wanted to put everything together so that you guys can have something to come back for if you're ever, and I'm going to put this in a regular video too. It's probably going to have to get put into 2 different ones to actually put it in videos. That's going to be condensed down. So probably into body and non-body, movement and non-movement techniques. So it's most likely what I'll do before with the videos, I mean. So the last thing, and I want to show you a video about this. Some of you may have heard of it. I had not. This goes along with our acupressure in a way. It is called EFT tapping or tapping. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And so this is about tapping certain places on your body, saying affirmations as you're doing it. And the person you're going to see, I'm just going to show you one time through with her. She does it 3 times. You can do it more if it's comforting to you. The affirmations you use can be all your own. They do not have to be the ones that she uses. She does make a good point, I think, in the video, and it's the reason that I always and will always end every video with "you are loved," because I think so many of us survivors have felt, not worthy, not valuable, not that person that someone can love, right? And so to remind yourself, you are loved. Whether that is by us, whether that's by people within your support system. And if you don't feel you have any of those, by whatever your higher power is, whether that is a God figure or somebody on the equivalent, whether that is the universe, or whether that is your higher self within you. And some people go, well, higher self, I don't believe in a higher self. Well, what I think of is that perfect version of myself that lives within me. I always want to be striving for that. I'm never going to be that person because that person is totally evolved. They're perfect. So being able to look to that person loves you. Even if you don't feel you love yourself, that person loves you. So a piece of you does love you, and you are lovable. So go ahead and listen to this. And also note that the rate in which you tap can be all your own as well. I would imagine the pressure with which you do. I mean, you won't want to tapping and then there's, hitting yourself, right? So it's still got to be tapping, but some people may prefer a very, very light tap. Some people may want to feel it a little bit more, like know that they're definitely, connecting with themselves. So all of it is very able to be individualized to you, but this will give you an idea as to what it is. Let me share my screen. Here we go.
And simple way to address emotions or feelings in the body. It's an easy process. It involves tapping different locations on your face, collarbone, underarm, and the top of your head. And it is so easy, you can even do it with small children. I've done it with my kids as young as 3 and 4 years old. And sometimes when they're coming from a place of emotion and they don't even really cognitively know what's going on for them, but they're saying things about themselves like, I don't love myself, I don't like myself. They're often speaking the words to let you know how they're feeling. I do this activity with them. And so I'm going to ask you now to do this with me. And we're just going to do 3 simple affirmations. Typically, when I do this, I always start and end with I am loved, because at the root of every deep-seated emotion or trauma is a belief that we are unlovable or unworthy of love. And finding that understanding and that belonging in our life, even if it's not something that we've had before, which is often the case if one has experienced childhood trauma or trauma at a young age. So this is going to be fun. Do it along with me. I'm going to move my hair. So if you don't remember exactly what points to tap in the future, but you're wanting to do this, an easy Google search of EFT and going to images will pull up some great PDFs. So take your 2 fingers, left or right hand, whatever works best for you, and we're going to tap just above the eyebrow. And we're going to say the affirmations while we're tapping. And you can do whatever speed you like, but I usually just do a few seconds per spot. So we're going to start out and we're going to say, I am loved. I am cared for. I am supported. I am appreciated. I am wanted. I am loved. I am cared for. And that is one full set when we do the top of the head. And we're going to go back and do it again. And usually,
Okay, so we're not going to do it again, but that just gives you an idea as to what EFT tapping is. It was something that I had never heard of, and yet it is another tool that can be used in your toolbox for calming yourself, calming the sympathetic nervous system, and activating our vagus nerve and getting our parasympathetic nervous system on board, and being able to calm down and to calm our body. Calm body, calm mind. That's supposed to be. We hope, right? Hey, my son's home. Whew. He took his bike out. That would be motorcycle. And I am always going to worry. Always. I mean, I worry when he's out anyway, but, I worry twice as much on the bike. Misha, you can do it. You can do it. You can go out. I know you can. I'll make you a deal. You try and go out and do your thing, and I am going to walk in the morning the rest of this week. I was in it, and then I was out of it, and then I was in it, and then I was out of it. I'm back. I'm going to be back in it. So I am going to do that in the morning. That is my promise to myself and my promise to you guys. And definitely it seems that when I make promises to you guys, I tend to keep them a little bit more. I certainly don't want to have to come here and say, ooh, I didn't do it. I will. If I don't, I'll be honest with you. But I'm going to try not to. I'm really working hard in general news at figuring out a way that I can go full time with the channel. I don't know what that would mean in terms of expansion, in terms of lives, but certainly I would be able to get all my videos out that I've been wanting to get, condensing all the lives into an actual video, and then making some shorts and getting those out. So as I have days that I have off from work or that between my projects, I'm going to treat those like my test periods, right? So I'm going to work on my channel full time for 3 days. And what's that like? If I have a week off between projects, I'm not just cleaning the house. My job is working on my channel full time. Now, I don't have to work on it for, 8.5 hours a day, but it's still, that is my full-time job. And that's what I want to do. Okay. Okay. Have I considered starting a nonprofit, Mac? Yeah, I have. I think before I do that, I want to get to the point where I can do this full time. I've decided the SAS Foundation would be its name. I just really love that. And it pays homage to us. My purpose with that would be to pay for trauma-based therapy, trauma-informed therapy for people who can't afford it, or to supplement their insurance, or if you don't have insurance, to be able to pay for it. It's something that I think can be done easily in terms of, the payment can go directly to the therapist. Verifying the therapist's credentials, again, that's going to be something that would be, fairly simple. So I don't see, I would be running. That's a lot of work that's not in my wheelhouse, but, definitely finding people, who are. I'm going to have to figure out at some point, if I don't just miraculously, come up with a sideline business that's making me money while I sleep. I'm going to have to come up with something to do, or a manner of which to pay the bills in order to work on the channel full time. I have no idea if monetizing it will even get me anywhere. I'm painfully aware of the fact that the subject matter is not one that a whole lot of advertisers would be beating down the door to be part of. I think any of the therapies probably it would go well with, but somebody who's just selling a widget is going, maybe not my target market. So, I don't know how things will go with that, but we'll see. I've considered a GoFundMe. I've considered just opening up a PayPal through here. I don't know. I'm just batting around a lot of different ideas right now, but I'm trying to make it a reality. If it could be a reality by the end of the year or by the beginning of next year, that would be awesome. Yeah, there are grants out there. Grant writing, that is another, definitely another thing that has its specialty, being able to write grants. So yeah, definitely being going on that. Oh, that's wonderful, Misha. You've been working on merch. Blessed Crochet was talking. She's got merch, and she's got some way of selling that. I know that we've talked about it here. And I have a few ideas. I would say, guys, if you have any ideas for merch that you would like to see, whether you can afford it or not, I'm just looking for the ideas. Okay. So you can put yourself in the, if I had money, this is what I would buy type of thing. This is what I would like it to say. Either put it in the comments or shoot me an email, survivingtogether@sass@gmail.com. I would absolutely love to hear from you guys and hear what you guys would be interested in, because I'm not going to buy it all, right? I need you guys to be. Yeah, getting the administrative stuff done is always the hard part. Crystal, we wish you well. All right. Wish you well with going back. If you are on our live on Saturday, please let us know how things went. And anybody got anything else coming up major between now and the end of the week? Let me know how that goes for you, Misha. Doing that march. That'll be very interesting. Nothing's ever going to feel good enough for your daughter. She was your daughter. And we want our kids to have the world. And if they're not here, we certainly want them to be remembered to the best. Remembered as we remember them and all the wonderful things that we remember. But I'm so proud of you for what you are doing and for how you're making it through this. You're taking a very, very difficult situation and you are finding the ray of sunshine. So you might be getting amazing pizza tomorrow. Oh, that sounds so good about now. Make sure you're right, If there are other people through doing what you're doing, through getting her story out there, if there's other people who don't become Christina in the end that she met, that would be wonderful. Maybe it will open somebody's eyes. And maybe if there's parents out there who felt exactly what you are feeling, maybe they will give themselves some grace for not being able to save their child. Because in the end, and we are talking adult children, it's their decision to make, right? And that's what I have got to come to terms with now. I'm trying in baby steps. I feel fortunate that my son did not move out as soon as he hit 18 or before, trying to move out before, because it has allowed me to, kind of cut one of those apron strings at a time. And, I think we'll always have a connection, just because it's been the two of us who have really grown up together. I pieced myself back together during this time, and he grew up and became the amazing young person that he is today. And I'm still growing, still learning, and still growing on this journey with all of you guys. I know he said it'd be hard to ride his bike in bubble wrap. I have to admit he's right. So I would really like to. Okay, I'll tell you guys a little quick story. And then I need to get going because I do want to see my son before he goes to bed. And he gets up at 4 o'clock. My job, we do a lot of computer work. So dealing with the mouse is inevitable. When I worked at an office, we would have just conference tables, and there were probably 2 computers to a conference table. And we were all in a huge room because we're all working on the same project. So sometimes questions would just get thrown out instead of done through email. People would just, be talking out loud with them. There's the thing. Thanks, Mock. The adult version of bubble wrap safety gear. Yeah, he's got good safety gear, but you know, it's not him, it's all the other drivers on the road, right? Okay, so anyway, there was this lady, I'm I don't know, 60 maybe. She was different. She 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 walked to her own drummer, and I'm not really sure what beat that was. But one day, I guess the hand gel, and sanitizing wipes weren't good enough for the mouse, because somebody else had used it before she had been at the station, right? Was not good enough for her, so she had her hand wrapped up in paper towel, and she was clicking away. And then I saw her a day or so later, and her hand is wrapped in plastic cling wrap and then bubble wrap on the outside of that. Not 100% sure what that was about. Germs was the only thing I could think of. Maybe she had carpal tunnel and that extra support made it nice. I really don't know, but it was strange. Exactly, Misha. That's about all you can say. Right. I hope she lotioned really well and before she put the plastic wrap on. Then you can kind of, you know, do that for your feet, right? You put lotion on before bed and then put your feet in plastic bags and tie them shut. Misha, you will never stop growing as long as you keep your curious mind. And I know you will. Crystal, I think we were all scared to ask her what it was about because we weren't sure if she started talking, if she was going to stop. And it was one of those people you just didn't want to open that bag of worms. As bad as that is to sound, you know how you can just get a sense of the people who are just, you may say hi and you just know you're in for it, and just uh, yeah, I'll admit it wasn't my proudest moment, but I was just like, "Ooh, wow, okay," and I just kept walking. Just keep moving. So, had some strange people at work. One time, this lady had only been here for a day, and she came into the office. Most people were gone at lunch. There weren't a whole lot of people there. And I heard the yelling. And apparently, we think maybe she had a psychotic break because she was just going off about the demon and demonic souls and how, we were going to get ours. And it was bizarre. I mean, if you ever she just broke. I mean, it's the only thing we can think of is she just absolutely went off the deep end, and we have no idea why. I don't know if this is a condition, that she got dealt with, and people were called, and she probably got put in a 72-hour hold. And I don't know if this is in her backstory or what, but that had to be one of the other weirdest moments at work. With this particular job anyway, the document review job that I do. Well, we're just wrapping up, Janet. Thanks for coming back, though. We were just talking about anything important that was going to happen between now and then. We're wishing wishing well for Crystal and going back to work. Mock, I agree with you. If the gloves are good enough for the nurses and for the doctors, you would think they'd be okay for her, but no, she I have expected her to come in the next day with like an oven mitt. I don't know why. My brain was just going, okay, what else could she wrap her hand in that she could still operate the mouse? It's so bad. So bad. All right, guys, I'm gonna try and see my son for a few minutes before he hits bed. Misha, you'll be impressed to know that I actually used AI to help me with my outline today. So instead of my scraggly notebook that I have, I took my notebook and look at all that. Isn't that neat? Because I had so much of it today, I knew I was going to need it, and it was great. So there you go. Yep, I know you'd like it. I tried to find a picture, but it didn't give me the good ones. The picture thing wasn't working as well for me. Exactly. You put on gloves to take out the mice. You're definitely welcome, Crystal. We wish you the best and keep us posted. Keep your chin up. You've got a lot of tools in your toolbox, okay, girl? You got this. You got this. You know what to do. And hopefully there will be no trouble at all. That's what we're definitely hoping for you. So everyone, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being part of our SAS community today. Please remember, you are worthy. You are valuable. And you are strong because you are a survivor. And you are loved just the way you are for who you are. Hugs and love from me. Till next time. See you on Saturday. Bye, guys.